Well, all right. We are live. Welcome,
Yeah.
everyone. We are here on a Wednesday night. I know it's not my normal night, but we had to get a special episode in. And so, welcome in. I'm your host, V. Bailey. And this evening, we are streaming live from the with the HBCU Lounge Network. And our conversation is going to be about financial healing. And so I know a lot of people struggle with it. And sometimes they kind of just try and steer clear of the conversation altogether. But we have someone here to help us, so even if you don't need, you're not in danger with your finances, but you just need a little bit of assistance or learning some new tools to help you with your finances and budgeting. We have special guest, Coach Evelyn, with us this evening. I'm super excited to have you, Coach Evelyn. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to give you an opportunity so that you can tell our audience, who you are, what it is that you do, and how long have you been in the field, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I might answer part of those questions, but you said how long I've been in the field, that would tell people my age. So no, I'm just kidding. No, I've been in the field over 50 years. I
Yes.
Yeah, finance has been my thing. I have always been a numbers cruncher. I've been the banker, I've been the mortgage lender, I've been the tax preparer. You name anything around finance, I've probably done it. And so that's the genesis for me starting my business, the Brainiac Budget Master, because I really feel like, not tooting my own horn, but I really feel like I'm an expert. There's not probably anything in the finance world or realm that I haven't experienced or dealt
Mm.
with, or the whole nine yards. And so I really, that's how why I came up with that name. I am definitely a brainiac. I can find a solution to any problem. And I
Yes.
really feel like that I'm a master at what I do, because I don't just stay static. I always go back and try to keep myself up to date and informed on the latest and the greatest, so that I can be of the greatest benefit to my clients.
Yeah.
So budget, Brainiac Budget Master is just really just helping people get their finances under control, because like you said, people need a financial healing. They really, really do. And sometimes they feel like it's out of their reach, but it really isn't. At the beginning of the year, every year, I schedule my physical appointments. I get my breast check. I get this and the other. People should be doing the same thing with their finances. And like you said, even if a person is
Mhm.
not struggling, they still need to make sure that they're staying steady state, and that they're in the best place they can possibly be. Not a good place, but the best place. So they should be checking in on their financial health as well. And it's what I call getting financially fit. You have
Mm.
to get financially fit. Otherwise, like you said, so much stress will come up on you, you won't know
Mhm.
what to do with yourself.
That's true. And then you find yourself overwhelmed and not, uh,
Definitely.
just kind of giving up. And we don't want that. We don't want you to give up.
No, ma'am.
And I mean, I think this conversation, everyone can benefit from it. This season, we are focusing on women's healing. And so there's so many different areas, but I wanted to focus on a lot of the main ones that really can help us as women, be the best versions of ourselves. And so many times, you come up in your upbringing has a lot to do with it. We see,
Yes.
in our community that a lot of times we don't have that financial literacy. Some of these kids that are coming out, they're little brainiacs as you, same as you, and their parents didn't have financial literacy like that, or was basic knowledge. And so that's great, because they're able to, I guess, kind of start off on the right foot. And a lot of times they're helping their parents because, their parents didn't have, that financial education. It was as one of your videos said, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're just getting by, like you're in survival mode.
Exactly.
So we want to, get to a place where we're not in that situation, because a lot of the things that I've been reading have shocked me, just about black women, in shelters, are finding themselves, them and their children. And it's not for you to basically have a negative, mindset, but just to be prepared. And
Right.
so some of the things that I was reading, I wanted to, basically have this conversation on, financial healing, because according to the fact sheet, Black women's financial trauma. And so it says that the financial, hold on one moment. Yeah, and so it says the financial literacy education must address specific financial trauma, shaming, and abuse the Black women and girls experience, and provide resources for them so that they can heal. I didn't realize that it was such a crisis until this conversation. And so specifically to close the ever widening wealth gap, financial literacy education must, support Black women and girls in redefining their understanding of finances and their emotional connection to money and the inherent worth. And so it's so interesting because I um, I watched this show on Netflix, and it was like a Nigerian film, I mean, Nigerian show, and it was
Hmm.
called Smart Money. And they were basically like educating you on finances, but also sharing the experience that Nigerian women have with money. And like, it was the same, like the way that she was explaining it, and like, her relationship with money and her friend's relationship with money. It was a mixture, but it was so similar to Black people here, in America, Black
Hmm.
women here. And so I was just like, wow, this is really an issue that I hadn't been aware of, because I'm good with my money, but I'm sure that there's things that I can learn, so that I can really, you know let my money, build up and it work for me. So
Right.
so I wanted to kind of go into what your inspiration was. I know that you talked about that you've been in finances for a long time, but what was just the pivotal moment that just made you say, you know what, I'm gonna do it now?
Okay, well, it wasn't a pivotal moment. I'm the
Oh,
kind of person that I believe that when you give, it comes back to you. Good
okay.
measure, pressed down, shaken together, and
Mhm.
flowing over, that you don't have room enough to receive it. And so for years and years and years, I've always helped families and my family members and friends handle different financial situations, from buying cars to buying homes to getting out of debt to creating budgets. And so I've always done that. But I did it, like I said, not expecting anything in return. And one
Mm,
day I was sitting down with my sister, and she went to go buy a car again. And she said, "You know what, sis? Every time I make a financial decision, I come to you." She said, "You are a wealth of information." She
mhm,
said, "You need to be sharing your information with everybody." She said, "The whole
mhm,
world needs to know what you know." And I said, "You know what? That's not a bad idea." And so because she pushed me to think about it in a more business-like manner, is what really inspired me to do that. But like I said, but my heart from the beginning was just to help people, because I was in that situation. I was in that underwater situation, because
mm,
what happened was is that my first husband all of a sudden died on me.
mm,
And he was the breadwinner, he was old-fashioned, you know, and he believed in the woman being home, taking care of the household. So when he went away, all the finances and resources went away. So
mhm,
you're talking about stress. I had a stress on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 12. And so I had to
mm.
figure out
Can
ways
imagine.
to yes, to like you call it, to get some financial healing. Because like I
Mm,
said, and it wasn't like I had time to plan. It was like here today, gone today. And then all of
mm,
a sudden I'm thrown into that fire of figuring out financial stuff. But with me, I love a challenge. And so immediately I started like you. I read, I studied, I found out everything there was about finances to help
mm,
me get myself on the right path. And in doing that, like you said, I kept building up my knowledge and building up my knowledge. And then as I built it, I shared it. As I shared it, I learned new things that I needed to know when I'm helping other people. And
mm.
it just became a snowball. It just
Oh, that's
became a
awesome.
snowball of helping people get out of their situations.
That's awesome. I know some people are like, someone save me.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes, yes,
it's good. It's good
yes.
that there are, are coaches and, different people who are out there who actually are committed to it because they want to help people and not
Right,
just doing it for, a quick business.
right.
Um, so that leads me to my next question. So what is the difference about your company from others?
The main difference between my company and others, and I know, like I said, I'm not trying to put down the terminology, but everybody overuses financial literacy.
Mm,
Financial literacy, when people tell you they're teaching a financial literacy class, they're usually teaching you how to reconcile your bank statement, how to
mm,
do this and how to do that. They teach you the five principles of financial literacy or whatever. But what they don't do is lay out a plan in order for you to reach your goals. So
mm.
you can talk all you want to. It's just like a coach who is helping a person with low self-esteem, and they tell them all you need to do is build up your self-esteem. What does that look like?
Right,
It's
right, right.
easy. It's
Just be
easy for you to
confident.
say, yeah, just do this and do this, do that. That's what most of them do. They tell you that you should do these things, but they don't have a precise plan on how to do that. But
Mm,
because of what I experienced in my own financial trauma, I can lay out a plan for anybody, and I'm talking
mm.
anybody, that's going to put you on the steps. It's going to be clear, it's going to be precise, it's going to be simple strategies that you can implement easily and see immediate results. That's the difference. They talk the
Mm.
talk, I walk the walk.
I love
Okay?
that. No, I
That's the
love that
major
because
difference.
no, I love that, and that was you answered that perfectly. It's very interesting. I was speaking to a associate of mine, and we were getting to this conversation. Conversations today are always about relationships and what can the Black community do to rebuild the Black family and blah 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 blah. Right? I get tired of those conversations because even though, that is something I'm very passionate about, I get tired of people just talking and not really
Right,
being willing to do anything,
right, right.
and they're just waiting, waiting for someone to do it or for someone to just, give all the answers. But in some cases, that is what's needed. Some people do need their hand held. Some people do.
Absolutely.
Some people, and it's not. It's unfortunate, but it's not a bad thing. And I don't think that they're doomed. I think that it really comes down as he explained. He said, "Well, no. What does that mean? What does it mean to do the work? What does it mean to change these things? What does it mean? Some people need a play by play,
Yes,
because they have you have your your mindset because of the way that you're raised, and you may have been more fortunate than others. But in a situation, as he was mentioning, many people that he knows, they had nothing, just really what not to do, but not really what to do, how to
right.
do it, so that they can wrap their mind around it and feel confident that, yeah, I might not know if I can be a master at it, but at least I have a little confidence that I can do this step and I can do that
Yes,
step, and I'm just going to do
yes.
one after, the next. And so I was just like, yeah, you're totally right about that. It's true. So I love the fact that, you have that plan and you can actually walk them through because of all the experience that you have. So that's
Right,
amazing.
right. But what I
Um,
like that you said too is more, you said a very profound thing, confidence.
Mm,
They have to build confidence that they know what they know. And
mhm,
like you said, you can't be held accountable for what you don't know. But when you do know, when
mhm.
you know better, you have to do better. And so it
Absolutely.
it is, they have to get informed. They have to, like you said, I had to have my hand held. When I started a new job, they didn't just throw me in there and say, do it. It was somebody there that held my hand until they felt confident enough to let me go on my own.
Right.
And that's what I try to do. I try to be there till they build that confidence before I just let them go.
Yes. Well, I love that. It's very important. Okay. And so I want us to move on and for you to share with us what are the different services that you provide? Because I know a lot of people are, wonder, okay, so what does this look like? I know you have your plan, but what's the services that you provide?
Well, what I did was is that there are three components to transforming your finances that have to go hand in hand. People usually just try to do budget, budget, budget. No, you have to do budget, you have to do savings, and you have to get your credit under wraps. Like I tell people, money is power, but credit is king. And
Mm,
so you can't just do one piece without the other. All of it goes together. You can't do the big savings unless you get your credit in order. You can't do the budget until you get your savings in order. You know what I'm saying? Is they're all
mhm,
three are tied together. So that's what I focus on. Finance is so vast. Like I said, I can go on for days and days and days. Like I tell you, I can tell you how the best way to buy a car. I can tell you the best investment. It can go on and on and on. But if you're looking for a real financial healing and transformation, you have to be focused on these three key points first. So that's what I
mm,
walk people through. It's the credit, the budget, and the savings. They
mm.
have to work at all three all together, not separately, but on the same multiple roads at the same time.
Awesome. And thank you for mentioning that about these three components, because I consider myself pretty good with the money. But what's interesting is I got the savings down, I got the good credit, um, but the budgeting, like, can you explain, like, what is it to budget? Because for me, when I think about budgeting, I'm like, okay, I have this amount of money to set aside for my bills, or this money set aside for food and going out, and then this amount to go to savings. I probably don't budget everything out, but like maybe like a couple of things, like my bills, and then what's going to savings, and then the rest I just kind of do me.
See, and I know, and you're like most people. Most people, when they think of budget, like you said, oh, my bills and this, that, and the other, that's
Yeah.
not where most people fail. That's not where the problem is. The set expenses that you have, that car note, you got to pay that car note every
Yeah.
month. Where most people fail and constantly slide back, back, back. Like, say, for instance, you say that you're going to budget $400 a month for food, but you spend 6.
Mhm.
Okay, they don't have a system to track their spending. Every penny you spend, you have to track it initially for the first 2 months to really make a real budget. Like, say, for
Mm.
instance, if you're a Starbucks drinker and you go to Starbucks every day and get that drink, those
Mm.
drinks average about $5. You do that for 30 days, that's $150.
Listen, that
You
somebody
see what I'm saying?
somebody
So
who might be listening who does that, they might just log right on off. Let me see if it went.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but and that's where most people make their problem with budget. They know they're fixed things, but they don't know the unnecessary. Like, one parent, she has
Mm,
5 kids. Each one of those kids at school, they might get be in band. They have to pay band fees. They have to pay for the computer fee. They have to do this. They don't take those things into account because it's not a part of the normal budget. But
mm.
a true, precise budget has to cover everything, even
That's
those
good.
little surprises. That's the other thing, is people don't plan for surprises. The surprise come, and guess what? it's like a house built on sand. It comes tumbling down.
Right.
So you have to go in debt. That's why I said a budget is not just writing down numbers. It's
Mm,
making a plan, and it's
mm,
being able to monitor that. So I give them tools. I have a what I call a variable report where people can put down what their budget is and put down what they actually spend so they can see where they're off track. If you don't
mhm,
know where you're off track, you keep robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you
mm.
don't understand why you can't get your budget on track. It's because you
Right.
don't know where your money's being really spent.
Right. Or you just stay in the same spot. And so you feel like, well, I might not be doing that, but I'm good because, you are. I mean, you have your savings, you have all these things, but like it could be growing, your money could be growing. And also, it the whole situation with money, sometimes when you look at it, because I'll tell you this, when I did look, I mean, I did make some changes after I seen it, but sometimes you don't want to look. You know how sometimes you have you have your bank, and then there's like these different I guess services that they have. There might be free services where they have this pie graph of where you're spending your money,
Right,
when you're
right,
spending your
right.
money. And I promise I wasn't looking for it, but it was there.
Oh, it's in there. Most banks have it now. It's
Yeah,
in
it
there.
was there. And I was like, what's that? I was like, oh no. No, is that
Right.
how much I'm spending on going out or, dining out or Uber Eats or
Yes.
DoorDash or whatnot? Because, when you're single or you live by yourself, a lot of times you might feel like it's cheaper for you to just go out so you don't waste the food if you cook a big old meal. But I had to
Right.
learn how to cook, not for one, but I'm like, okay, I can cook for two and
Right.
then eat leftovers or freeze the rest. And so
Right.
that's kind of
Exactly.
how like I'm trying to work that. But it's
Exactly.
scary when you really look at how much money you're wasting.
Oh,
That's what it's like. It's not
it's
just
not only
spending.
that, like I said, it'll be a major eye opener. I had one of my friends, like you said, go to the bank, go through their pie chart and see how much money she spent on fast food every month. She
Yeah.
was spending $600 on fast food and didn't
Mhm.
even realize it because, like you said, she would go out to McDonald's, get the Egg McMuffin, and then she would go out to lunch and Zaxby's and this and the other. And she was doing this 3 times a day. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so then I said, "Okay, babe, how much you think you're spending on fast food?" She said, "Well, maybe $200." I said, "Okay, let's go to that bank and to that pie chart and see
Mm.
what you're really spending." She
Yeah.
almost fainted. Didn't even
Yeah.
realize she was spending that much money on that fast food.
Scary. It's
You know what I'm
scary.
saying?
Yeah.
I know. So like you say, you can be a good manager of your money, but then, like I said, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? Do you want
Mm,
to have even more in your savings where you can start investing and see how your money can grow? Because I posted on my Instagram
that's
where
true.
I ended up being with
Mhm.
my discipline. And so I started off, like I said, not having enough to where I had saved up over $800,000. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And
Wow.
so that was from the discipline, that was from applying the strategies, that's from
So
not
wow.
digressing. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I posted my statement so that people can see that it's the real deal with my name on it. So
Wow.
you know what I
That's
mean?
yeah, no, that's great. And what is it? Glorinda had mentioned that when your income increases, your debt and your expenses should decrease. And that's such a good point because I never really thought about that. I am pretty set on not living above my means because
Mhm.
I mean, I just think like that. I'm like, well, even if I make more money, I shouldn't make more bills because I always heard that about people once they start making more money, then they acquire all these bills and then they can't live another way. And that's why they're like feeling like jumping off of a bridge or something like that when
Exactly.
they lose their job because I mean, now don't get me wrong, you do get sad, if you lose your job, but when you don't have any discipline and you're just like, oh, I make this much money, so I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy another, house. I'm gonna buy another car. You got four and five cars. What? Who needs four and five cars? I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I'm just saying when you get to that place and you have no discipline and you just keep increasing your bills and you're more and more in debt, it's gonna hurt and you may not be able to recover from it.
Exactly.
Just even some of the stars, I remember when the pandemic, not when it first started, but maybe like a year in. um what was it? Chris Rock was on the Breakfast Club and he was just talking about he knows some people who are in the industry who, he thought had more money than him. And they
Right.
probably things like, but they were like reaching out trying to sell stuff. And
Right.
so it's like, do you really want to do that to yourself?
See, and that's the problem, and you keep hitting the nail on the head. So, like I said, I'm gonna start having you come and work with me on this in my in my
I
business.
deal with the money.
Most
Yeah.
people think it is their life obligation that the
Mhm.
more money they make, the more money they need to spend. They need to
Mhm.
look at one of the richest men in America.
Mm.
When he became so rich, he didn't buy a new house. He said, "Ain't nothing wrong with the house I got." But
Right.
we feel
Mm.
like we need to
Comfortable.
reflect what our income is. And so
Mhm.
we, like you say, drown ourselves in debt and put ourselves way overboard to the point, like you
Mhm.
say, even the smallest thing is going to send us spiraling down.
Right.
But like you
Right.
said, you don't have to make more money in order to, and that's what I tell people. I don't neglect myself at all. My husband and I
Mhm.
have traveled around the world. We do, but
Mhm.
we do it with frugality. We don't
Mm.
miss out on nothing. Okay. We don't miss out on
Good.
nothing, but we do it in a sensible way. People, when, like you say, they have more resources, they don't care. It's like, oh, I can just spend this and spend that. They don't think about, okay, but anybody can pay overprice. What is so,
Mhm.
so smart about that? That very
Right.
same thing you got, I
Totally.
can get at half the price. So what's your point?
Mhm. Oh
What is your
yeah, no,
point?
no, no. I love a discount. No one loves it more than me.
Ha
I love it.
ha
I'm like,
ha.
why would I do this when I know that I was just, at the store the other day and this was $10 cheaper? See, people, they're like, oh, it's just $10. What is it when you have money? It's like, well, you want to keep your money. Like, why would I waste it when I know like there's something inside of me that won't allow it? It's like,
Right.
no, we can't do that.
Keep it inside.
We
Do keep
know
that
it's
with
cheaper.
you. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's why, like how I am with the ticket. Like if I buy my ticket, I'm trying to get the best ticket I can get, flights.
Yes.
But
Yes.
once I buy it and I commit and I buy that ticket, I do not get back on there. I don't want to know if the price dropped, because if I can't do anything about it, unless it's a price match situation, but if I can't do anything about it, it's done. The decision's made. But
Okay,
I
but let me just
try.
give you a little hint with that.
Yes.
Southwest, if you buy your ticket and then the price drop, they'll refund you your money.
Oh,
So think
that's
about that when you want to fly. Consider Southwest. And
that's
so
good
these
to
are the
know.
these are the kind of things that I teach people is how to be frugal, how to
Mm,
make your money work, how to stretch it, how to be able to save. I don't care what your situation is. People, I don't have the no money to save. Let me work with you. And when I show you that there is a way for
mhm,
you to squeeze out money out of what where you're currently at, not when
mhm.
you, like you say, get the extra income and the increase on the job, right where you're at, I can teach you how to stretch that dollar.
So I have a question for you. So you were just saying, some people are like, oh, I don't have the money, and you're like, I can show you. So as I was reading and they talked about, the different, issues and how Black people have been impacted, psychologically impacted, behind money for various reasons. I've seen a couple of things, when there used to be a price on your ancestors, you realize
Right,
some trauma attached, to money because you used to cost, someone,
right,
not you personally, but, your ancestors were purchased, in some cases, and if not your direct ones, people who look like you, right?
right.
So, I wanted to kind of talk about that, that fear, that's attached to it because as they speak about the financial trauma, and then there's shaming, and then financial abuse, right? And so I've heard different situations where women are in a situation where someone else is over their money, and they didn't have a good
Yes.
husband, like like either of your husbands, because they're both, I mean, I'm both great. But they didn't have that. They had someone who was controlling them with the money.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and so they get into, and then another thing with the financial trauma, maybe upbringing. I had a good friend, and now she makes a lot of money, but she lives a certain kind of way. And it is, you know, she spins, but it's like a mixture. It's like sometimes she's, like a penny pincher, and then sometimes she just overspends. But she has this fear, of being poor again, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
so she doesn't overspend a lot. Every once in a while she's like, I deserve these nice things because I work hard. She has to convince herself with that part.
Right.
And then the other part is just being really like a penny pincher because she's so terrified of being poor, but not really doing anything like, getting with a coach, getting with someone who like yourself, that can show her how to budget so that she can, I guess, relax in a sense, and have peace of mind about her finances. So what's your advice for those people who are, have experienced that trauma and are really terrified about doing anything different with their money?
Well, what I would tell them is, like I said, slow and easy. Like
Mhm.
you said, it's okay to splurge. You know what I'm saying? Like my daughter, she won't buy anything but Charmin. I don't care how much
It's
of
the
a
best.
sale.
It is the
That's what
best.
she did. So as long as it's in proportion, like you say, when you understand your finances and your budget, you understand when you can have those splurge moments.
Mm,
You understand what I'm saying? And
yeah.
so I would say I would have to look at each person individually because one person's splurge may not be another person's splurge. But
Right.
like you say, but if she is investing appropriately and if she's monitoring what she needs to be monitoring, she won't ever have to worry about being broke.
Right. Yeah, because some people splurge at the dollar store and some people splurge at the bag store.
Exactly,
Getting bags, designer
exactly,
bags and designer
exactly,
shoes. And
for
it's
for
just like
$2,500, yeah,
it's like
yeah.
stop splurging there.
Yes,
We're
yes,
gonna find
yes,
another place for you to splurge a little bit
yes,
more,
absolutely, absolutely, something that's
frugal,
gonna create
that
some
frugality.
memories. Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Well, I wanted to go ahead to our last question, and that's more so about what events that you might have coming up, any important dates, and also where can the people, find you and learn more about what you're doing so that they can get that financial healing.
Okay, my next 3 events that are coming up is I have one on this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's called Let's Talk About the B Word. And when I say the
Mm.
B word, I don't mean the BIT word. I mean
Yes, right,
budget.
right.
But I thought
Let's
I'd
talk
put
about
that little catchy thing out
little
there,
clickbait.
'cause and that's on the 15th, and then on the 29th I have one up close and personal with budget, like what you're talking about with your friend, is that she is so afraid that she might get broke again or whatever. That's up close and personal. That's get
Mhm.
diving into you as an individual, not just generically, but
Mm,
you as an individual. And then on February 18th, on Saturday morning around 10 Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be doing a free webinar in showing people how to start and to build a foundation because that's another place people get stuck. They don't know where to start. So
mm,
I
mm,
want to be clear with them on where they need to start to begin this financial healing and financial transformation. And so the 18th, if they don't do anything else, they need to jump on board to that so that they can find out where to start, how to start, and get
yeah.
this party started.
Yes, I love it. I love it. We're going to get it, y'all. We're going to get it. 2023 is supposed to be a magical year.
Yes,
I love the
yes, I
number.
believe it.
Yes, for sure. And it's just about making those changes. And I'm so glad that we got a chance to do this in the beginning of the year. As
Yes,
you mentioned, every year, people say that they're going to do something different, but every year around Christmas time and the holidays, they overspend. We all
yes,
overspend. And then in January, they're sad and they're like, "Ooh, please, let's get these tax returns, back."
yes, yes,
So that I can continue bad behavior with my
yes.
finances. But at least, you shouldn't have to stress yourself out,
No, ma'am.
every year around the same time. um if you have a good budget and just get that education about your finances so that at least you can feel comfortable being the captain of your own ship, and maybe even save and do something that you've never done, like
Yes,
go on,
ma'am.
be able to save for a really amazing trip or family trip, to start getting some of those experiences instead of robbing Peter to pay Paul and struggling, with your
Right.
finances for half the year.
Exactly.
So no, I thank you for that. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to any last bit of advice. I do want to add, I believe, okay, it was Black Marble. It said, never put fast food on your credit card. Either this is an unnecessary debt. And that is so true because there's interest. So it's like after you get finished, that burger was $40. Like,
Exactly. And I do one better than that. Credit cards are meant to be used for emergencies. If
mm-hmm.
you have good cash flow, you shouldn't have to use the credit cards.
Right.
And so credit cards are mainly supposed to be there for large purchases, not for the
Mhm.
everyday little things. So, like you say, you go to the store, you see a blouse, you buy the blouse, you're paying the minimum payment due on the credit card. That blouse that you bought that had the price tag of 40 now costs you 140
Mm.
because the interest that you're going to accrue on it or whatever.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
tell people free up your finances, your dollars, your dinero so that you don't even have to use the credit card. Like I said, it's
that's
supposed to be
right.
strictly for emergencies and not to be used for like it's not fast food is minor.
It's
Shouldn't be
crazy.
used for anything. Shouldn't be used for anything because if your cash flow is right, you should be able to pay currency for whatever it is that you have and only
Mhm.
use those credit cards in an emergency. And
Right.
your first effort is to get it paid back as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I love it, love it, love it. Well, where can the audience find you? How can they get connected with you?
They can go to my website, which is the Brainiac budgetmaster.com, and
Mhm.
that from there they can connect, they can ask questions. It's a link for them to just get in touch with me just to find out general information because like I
Mhm.
said, this is my heart's desire. This is what I was made to do. This is my thing. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And like I said, and I know from personal experience what can be done. So it's not like hearsay or this and that or whatever. This is life experience at its best. And so when you get with me, you tell me your story and then I'll tell you mine and we'll see who has the biggest tissue box. So, because I'm telling you, I've experienced some financial trauma and dilemmas that just would blow your mind. And so I know that there's recovery from anything.
Mhm.
And I want to teach people how to do that, how to get
Mm.
their finances under control. It's a must. It's a
Yes,
must.
absolutely. Oh, yes. And yes, try not to charge what you can't pay for in full at the end of the billing cycle.
I like this
Absolutely.
Glorunda. Tell her to call me.
Yes, she
She's
Miranda,
on
she be on it.
point. Yes, yes,
Yes, but
yes,
that's so
yes.
true. That is so true because it'll hit you, and I think a lot of times young people, and women, as we said, their relationship with money is kind of tumultuous, but is you get those credit cards and because you have no education
Right.
on those finances, you think, ooh, I have a credit card for $300. I'm going to go shop and I'm going to go buy all this makeup from Sephora, or Ulta, and I'm going to, be cute and I'll just pay it back later. But they don't understand interest. They didn't read the fine print, all of those things.
Right.
And, it's kind of like a psychological too, like attachment as well, or psychological connection with it with women. That, like how our mind works. I mean, people study that so that they can make more money off of us.
Amen.
They do
Like
that.
I
I mean,
said, you're on point. You're on
yeah,
point.
like,
And the other thing too is people don't read the fine print.
hmm
If you read most credit card things, when you sign up for the credit card, most people don't read. It
hmm
says that if you're late one time, your interest rate then doubles. And so
yeah,
you might have
no,
went into that credit card here. Now you're
oh,
paying 29, 30% on that credit card because you didn't realize that if you were late that it was going to jump up because you didn't read the fine print.
yeah, that's crazy. And it sucks because then once you get on that cycle, it's kind of hard to get out. And some people are like, "Well, I just won't pay it." It's like it's gonna find you. That debt will
Huh.
find you.
Yes, it will.
You,
Yes,
you
it
can't
will.
run.
Yes, it will.
Or
Yes,
you can
it
run,
will.
but you can't hide.
Huh.
So,
For real. For real.
but I am just thrilled that we had this conversation, and for all of our guests. You can also find Coach Evelyn on Instagram as well as TikTok at the Brainiac Budget Master.
And
So
Facebook. Yeah.
and Facebook.
Yes.
So, yeah, so thank you so much, Coach Evelyn, for coming on and just offering these, tools so that our ladies can heal. And honestly, everything that's been covered pretty much on, this season has been beneficial for, men and women. What was that? Yeah, absolutely. Once you get into that, it's very hard to get back on track, but it's
Yes.
possible. It's not
It's
impossible.
possible. It's
And
possible.
so, yeah, we definitely want, to do that, to, start making being a great example, for the next generation, your kids, or maybe younger people who are watching you, so that we don't have to be in this position that a lot of us have been in.
Right.
So yeah, each one teach one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
but
Yes,
thank
ma'am. I
you.
love it.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for being on. And I appreciate you so much. And the replays will be up on both platforms on virtual first dates. So it's now at V Bailey on YouTube and the HBCU Lounge Network. It'll be up immediately. So you can share it with your friends, family members, any loved ones that you just want to, you know, give them the gift of
Yes,
saving and the
ma'am.
knowledge,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
of your
ma'am.
finances. So again, thank you so much. And we will be back here on the 22nd talking about triggers. So we've been rolling with it. We had accountability, we got the financial healing, and we'll be talking about triggers on the 22nd. You don't want to miss it. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and click that bell so any upcoming shows you do not miss. And thank you guys so much for joining us on a Wednesday. Not my regular day, but we had to do it. So thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful week. Good night.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
Bye-bye.